The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of a quiet suburban home, scattering golden light across the polished wooden floors. Emma Collins stood by the kitchen counter, her hands wrapped around a warm cup of tea. She stared out the window, watching the early autumn leaves tumble across the lawn. It was a peaceful scene, almost too peaceful, and yet Emma's heart felt a subtle ache, a quiet longing she rarely admitted to anyone. Emma had spent years balancing work, family, and her own small dreams. She had a job she loved, a cozy home she adored, and a son, Lucas, who was the brightest light in her life. But beneath the calm routine of her days, there was a yearning for adventure, for moments that made her feel truly alive. The kind of experiences that felt like they belonged in a storybook, not a life mapped out in schedules and emails. Lucas, at 12, was full of surprises. He had inherited his mother's curiosity and a mischievous spark that always seemed ready to appear at the most unexpected moments. Today, he was unusually quiet, hovering by the hallway, a strange excitement in his eyes that Emma couldn't quite place. "Mom?" Lucas called softly, peeking into the kitchen. "Can you come with me for a minute?" Emma smiled, sensing the hint of adventure in his tone. "Sure. What is it, Lucas?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he took her hand and tugged her gently down the hall. Emma followed, her curiosity growing with every step. They reached the living room, where sunlight poured across the floor, highlighting the small, ordinary details of their life. Books stacked nightly on the shelf, a cozy sofa with a well-loved blanket, family photos pinned on the wall. And then she saw it. A small, handcrafted box sitting in the center of the coffee table, its surface covered in colorful drawings and scribbles. Lucas beamed. "Open it, Mom." Emma's fingers trembled slightly as she lifted the lid. Inside, she found a collection of carefully chosen mementos, a pressed flower from the park where they often walked, a tiny sketch of their house with the words, "Home is where love grows," and a folded note that made her heart skip. She unfolded the note and read the words slowly, letting each one sink in. "Mom, I wanted to show you how much you mean to me. You're my hero, my adventure partner, and the best mom in the world. I hope this little surprise makes your day as special as you make mine every day." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. The simple, thoughtful gesture carried more weight than she could have imagined. It wasn't just a box of items. It was a window into Lucas's heart, a reminder of the deep bond they shared. She pulled him into a tight hug, feeling the warmth of his small, eager frame against her chest. "Lucas," she whispered, voice thick with emotion, "this is the most beautiful thing anyone has ever done for me." He grinned, a mix of pride and secret glee sparkling in his eyes. "I knew you'd like it." But there's one more surprise. Emma raised her eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Another one?" "Yes," Lucas said mysteriously, pointing toward the front door. "You have to see it outside. I promise it's special." Emma's heart quickened. The morning, once quiet and ordinary, now shimmered with anticipation. What could Lucas have planned? The thought made her pulse race, not with fear, but with a thrilling sense of the unknown. She followed him to the front yard where the crisp autumn air carried the scent of fallen leaves and fresh possibilities. And there was something Emma could never have expected. It was small, simple, and perfectly whimsical. Yet the moment she saw it, she felt a surge of pure joy and wonder, like stepping into a story she had always dreamed of living. Lucas beamed, watching her reaction carefully, his eyes sparkling with mischief and delight. "Happy?" he asked softly. Emma laughed, a sound full of awe and gratitude. "I'm more than happy, Lucas. You've made today unforgettable." As she held him close again, Emma felt a tiny spark of something she hadn't felt in years, a sense that life could still surprise her, that adventure and love weren't just stories in books, but something real, something waiting just around the corner of her ordinary days. And in that moment, she realized that this was only the beginning, because Lucas's surprise had unlocked something in her heart, something daring, something magical, and something she never wanted to let go. And as the leaves danced in the breeze around them, Emma knew that her quiet world was about to become far more extraordinary than she had ever imagined. Exactly what is the surprise Lucas has planned? How will it change Emma's life? The story of adventure, wonder, and deep emotional bonds is only just beginning. Emma closed the door behind her, still holding Lucas's hand, the small box of mementos tucked under her arm. Her mind lingered on the present moment, but slowly, her thoughts drifted back to a chapter of her life that had shaped her more than she had realized. A chapter she rarely spoke about, but one that left echoes in her heart every day. It had been years ago, during her college days in a small town in upstate New York. Emma had been pursuing her art degree, spending long afternoons painting in sunlit studios or wandering through the library with a sketchbook tucked under her arm. Life then felt full of possibilities, a world brimming with colors and endless horizons. And it was there, in that quiet library, that she had first noticed him, Nathan. He wasn't loud or flashy. He didn't burst into the room with charm or charisma. Instead, he was calm, thoughtful, and carried a quiet kindness that immediately caught Emma's attention. She remembered the first time their paths crossed. She had been sketching an old oak tree in the park nearby, trying to capture the way sunlight spilled through the branches, and he had sat on the bench across from her, reading a book she'd read the week before. Their eyes met briefly, and he offered a small, tentative smile. That smile had lingered in her memory, the way sunlight lingers on a wall long after the window is closed. Over the next few weeks, their encounters grew more frequent, but always gentle, always understated. Sometimes it was a shared coffee over a spilled coffee, sometimes a whispered comment about the clouds, or a quiet acknowledgement of something they both noticed in the world around them. There was no rush, no pressure, only a soft, unspoken connection that made Emma feel alive in a way she hadn't felt before. With Nathan, conversations felt effortless, as if the world had slowed just enough for them to breathe in the same moments. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Emma had graduated, Nathan had taken a job across the country, and soon the letters and occasional phone calls became infrequent, then stopped altogether. Their last meeting had been under the golden glow of a spring afternoon, the park quiet, except for the whispers of leaves in the breeze. They had exchanged promises to keep in touch, but neither knew how time and distance could quietly stretch, then snap the delicate thread connecting two hearts. Even now, years later, Emma could remember the exact shade of the jacket he wore, the faint scent of pine from the park, and the gentle tilt of his head when he listened intently. Those memories weren't bittersweet. They were precious, a small treasure tucked safely in the corner of her heart. They reminded her that connection, even fleeting, had the power to shape a life. Her mind lingered on that feeling of discovery and quiet joy, the way it had seemed like the world had opened just a little wider when Nathan was near. She smiled softly, remembering how her heart had learned to recognize happiness, even in the smallest gestures, a laugh shared, a glance exchanged, a moment of understanding without words. But even as nostalgia wrapped around her, there was a pull to the present, a reminder that life had continued to move forward. Lucas, her son, was now the center of her world, bringing adventure, joy, and love into every day. Yet in the quiet moments, like this morning, standing in the yard with Lucas's surprises scattered around her, she felt a faint echo of the past. It wasn't regret or longing, just a gentle reminder of how deeply the heart remembers, how past joys and connections quietly shape the way we embrace the present. Emma knelt down in the yard, holding Lucas's small hands in hers, and for a moment, the past and present blended. She could almost see young Emma sketching in the park, Nathan reading quietly across from her, a world full of possibilities stretching out before them. And now, with Lucas's laughter and curiosity surrounding her, she realized that those possibilities hadn't vanished. They had transformed, taking new forms that were just as magical, just as profound. The past, she understood, wasn't something to linger on with sorrow. It was a collection of lessons, of memories that made her stronger, more empathetic, and more open to the wonders still waiting in her life. It was a whisper that reminded her to treasure the unexpected joys, like the surprise Lucas had given her today. As she stood and brushed leaves off her sweater, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope. The world was still full of surprises, full of connections waiting to be discovered, and full of moments that could take her breath away in ways she had never imagined. She smiled at Lucas, who was grinning knowingly, and realized that the adventure was only just beginning. The sun had begun its slow descent, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and gold as Emma and Lucas walked along the winding paths of the neighborhood park. The crisp autumn air carried the scent of fallen leaves and distant pine, and the gentle rustling of branches seemed almost to whisper secrets of the past. Lucas skipped ahead, his small laughter echoing against the quiet streets, leaving Emma with a rare moment to reflect and breathe. She hadn't expected anything extraordinary from this afternoon, but life, as always, had its surprises. Turning a corner near the small pond, Emma froze. Standing near the edge, tossing breadcrumbs to a group of ducks, was a familiar figure, someone she hadn't seen in over a decade. Nathan. For a moment, the world seemed to still itself. He looked up, eyes widening slightly as recognition flickered across his face. Time had changed him, slightly grayer hair at the temples, the subtle lines of experience etched into his features, but the quiet kindness in his gaze, the gentle warmth that had first drawn Emma years ago, was unmistakable. Emma's heart skipped. She wasn't sure whether to call out or stay quiet, but before she could decide, Lucas's excited voice broke the silence. "Mom, look at the ducks!" Emma smiled, crouching to ruffle her son's hair. "I see them, sweetie," she said softly, her attention half on Lucas, half on Nathan, who now held a small paper cup with breadcrumbs, watching the two of them with quiet interest. Nathan approached slowly, as if unsure whether he should speak. "Emma?" His voice was gentle, carrying the weight of years yet untouched by distance. Emma's breath caught. "Nathan, it's been a long time." He nodded, a soft smile playing at his lips. "Too long. I didn't expect to see you here." Neither of them spoke for a moment, the air thick with unspoken memories. Emma could feel the echo of their shared past, a quiet connection that had lingered like a gentle melody, familiar yet slightly out of reach. It wasn't romance that stirred, not in a way that demanded anything physical or urgent. It was the warm recognition of someone who had once seen the world in a way that matched her own, someone who had quietly shaped her understanding of joy, trust, and gentle wonder. Lucas tugged at Emma's sleeve, noticing Nathan. "Mom, do you know him?" Emma hesitated, then nodded, brushing her hair back and taking a deep breath. "Yes, Lucas, this is Nathan. We used to know each other a long time ago." Nathan crouched slightly to meet Lucas at eye level. "Hi, Lucas. I've heard a lot about you." His voice carried a natural warmth, honest and kind. Lucas grinned. "Mom says you're really nice." Emma laughed softly, feeling a sense of ease wash over her. Nathan's presence wasn't overwhelming. It was comforting, like finding an old book you'd loved as a child tucked back onto the shelf. Their conversation flowed naturally, each word a gentle bridge between past and present. As Lucas wandered to feed the ducks again, Emma and Nathan found themselves walking side by side along the pond's edge. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was comfortable, a quiet understanding that words could not fully express. "I never thought we'd meet again like this," Emma admitted, her voice soft. "After all these years, it feels right in a way I can't explain." Nathan nodded, looking down at the water's reflection of the autumn sky. "I know. Life has a way of circling back sometimes. It's surprising, but in a good way." They shared a smile, a delicate acknowledgement of the past that didn't demand they relive it, but allowed them to honor it. There was a warmth there, an emotional reconnection that neither had expected, but both recognized immediately. The gentle echo of friendship, shared joy, and quiet understanding. Emma felt her heart lift, realizing that some connections never truly fade. They wait patiently, tucked into memories, ready to resurface when the time is right. It wasn't about what had been lost. It was about what could still grow in laughter, in shared stories, and in the gentle companionship of someone who truly understood her. And standing there watching Lucas play with the ducks, Emma realized that the present was a gift, and the past was a treasure, and together they could create a story even more meaningful than anything she had imagined. How will Emma's life continue to unfold with Nathan unexpectedly back in her world? What adventures, surprises, and lessons await her and Lucas as they navigate this new chapter of connection and discovery? The park was quiet now, the golden light of late afternoon stretching long shadows across the walking paths. Lucas had grown tired of feeding the ducks and had wandered back toward Emma, clutching a small pile of leaves he had collected. Emma watched him, smiling softly, before turning her attention back to Nathan. They walked together slowly, the silence between them comfortable yet full of unspoken thoughts. After all these years, the weight of the past still lingered, delicate but undeniable. Nathan finally stopped near a bench, taking a deep breath as though gathering the courage to speak. "Emma," he began, his voice low but steady, "I never forgot you. Not a single day. Even when life pulled us in different directions, I carried what we had, even if it was just quiet moments, in my heart." Emma felt a lump in her throat. She had never allowed herself to dwell on those memories too deeply, afraid they might reopen something that time had quietly healed. But hearing his words now, the gentle honesty, the vulnerability, made her chest tighten in a way that felt strangely comforting. "Nathan," she said softly, I remember everything too. The walks, the quiet conversations, the little things we shared that no one else understood. Those memories, they've always felt like a secret treasure I could carry with me." He nodded, eyes glimmering with a hint of unshed emotion. "I don't know what the future holds, Emma, but I do know that seeing you again today reminds me that some connections, they never truly fade. They just wait for the right moment to resurface." Emma felt warmth spread through her chest, a mixture of nostalgia, hope, and quiet excitement. It wasn't about rushing or forcing anything. It was about acknowledging the truth of what had been meaningful and being open to the possibilities that life offered now. Just then, Lucas ran back, holding a leaf high above his head like a tiny flag of victory. "Mom, Nathan, look, I found the biggest leaf." Emma laughed, ruffling his hair. "That's amazing, Lucas. You really are full of surprises today." Nathan smiled, watching the interaction, and something shifted subtly between them. A sense of balance, a realization that life could include both the joy of the present and the echoes of the past without conflict. They could honor their memories while embracing what was unfolding now. Emma took a deep breath, glancing at Nathan. I think what matters most is that we don't let these moments pass without noticing them. Life is too short to leave feelings unspoken or to ignore the people who make it brighter. Nathan's smile widened, the warmth in his eyes reflecting the late afternoon sun. I couldn't agree more. And I promise, whatever happens, I'll be here, whether as a friend, a guide, or someone who simply cares. Emma nodded, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. The past, she realized, wasn't a chain that bound her. It was a foundation. It had taught her about connection, kindness, and the quiet courage it takes to open one's heart again. And now, standing there with Lucas laughing nearby and Nathan by her side, she understood that growth wasn't about forgetting or moving on too quickly. It was about honoring the lessons of yesterday while embracing the possibilities of today. They sat together on the bench for a while, watching the leaves drift slowly across the pond. The air was crisp, but the warmth between them felt like a perfect autumn afternoon, a memory in the making. Emma held Lucas's hand in one and let Nathan's presence remind her of the gentle magic life sometimes offered when she least expected it. I think this, Emma said softly, is the beginning of something new. Not just for me, but for all of us. Adventure, surprises, and maybe a little more laughter than we expected. Nathan nodded, squeezing her shoulder lightly. Yes. And the best part is, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just honest, just real. Emma smiled, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had led her here. From the quiet moments of her past to the surprises of the present, her heart felt full, not because life had been flawless, but because it had been meaningful, layered with connection, and rich with the unexpected joy that only comes from truly feeling. Lucas yawned, leaning against her side, and Emma laughed softly, brushing his hair back. Time to head home, my little adventurer. As they walked back through the park, the sun sinking low behind the trees, Emma knew that life's surprises, both small and profound, were what made it worth living. She felt the gentle pull of the past, the warmth of the present, and a quiet hope for the future. And in that moment, she understood something essential. The heart doesn't just survive. It thrives when we allow ourselves to notice, to feel, and to embrace the beauty of connection in all its forms. The world was full of stories waiting to be lived, and Emma was ready to step into the next chapter hand in hand with the people who mattered most. Emma's story closes on hope, connection, and emotional growth. The past and present converge in a moment of understanding, leaving viewers with a heartwarming sense of adventure, love, and the beauty of meaningful relationships.